It's just death. Nothing serious.
I apologize for starting off this season of Cheer with a champion that brings nothing but pain and discomfort no matter what side he's on. But I gotta be honest with myself and all of you. Yasuo is pretty fun to play. Granted, I still think he's an annoying asshole, but I do get enjoyment out of playing a Ronin that deals some of the most absurd damage I've seen in this game. I've said a lot about him from last year's list, so I won't try to repeat anything I said there. But what ends up attracting me to Yasuo, besides the power trip it can be, is his solo potential. What I mean by that is his potential to fight the entire team alone. Yasuo is a slippery asshole whenever minions and enemies are around because there is practically no cooldown on the amount of times you can dash. This opens up multiple possibilities for handling a fight whether you're outnumbered or not. As long as there are enemies around you, you have the capability of outplaying them all. With the absurd mobility, a huge ass shield, a projectile knockup, and tremendous damage output, you are given the tools to survive any situation you are put in. Granted, this invites a lot of players who think they're skilled enough to do so, which is why we have the League of Legends equivalent to a Hanzo main in Overwatch. Although, Yasuo main existed before Overwatch, but you get the idea. Just the term Yasuo main has a stereotype to it of players who take advantage of the ridiculous power this man has and think they can do it all, proceed to feed, deflect blame, and still end up winning the game if they stay long enough because late game Yasuo is ridiculous to the point where anyone can just auto attack and win, thus reinforcing their beliefs and continuing this endless cycle in another game. Yasuo, you're fun to play, and I love setting up ultimates for you if I'm not playing as you. But not only do I think your damage is pretty ridiculous because of your kit, you also invite a lot of degenerates to play you, and that's why you're last on my list. But hey, you made it nonetheless!
I'm going to throw a star at you now. Good luck.
One of the known gods of League of Legends is pretty low on my list of enjoyable champions. As I said last year in my top 31 champions list, programming a celestial dragon god who is so powerful he created the known universe to not only be representative of the character, but also be fair within the actual game, is a pretty monumental task. So I get why they made his kit emphasize positioning more than just throwing a bunch of spells like Xerath. His passive makes it so that his literal presence can kill his enemies. But I don't really find that part of his kit fun. What I do enjoy, however, is the fucking ridiculous supernova you can bring to the enemy team from across the map. Now this is the power I expect from a god, even if it's more difficult to land than it looks. Unless you make it the size of the lane itself, which is totally possible and amazing as hell to pull off, the enemy won't have a hard time moving out of the way. It's still fun to combine this with his Comet of Legend though, making you a dragon god delivering a nuke while flying right over the terrain, because what is a wall to a god? This is what makes Aurelion Sol fun to me, delivering destructive, lane-enveloping stars to the enemy team and melting their faces off with his ultimate, which is a straight-up blast of cosmic energy in a straight line. It's simple, but powerful, and I love it. What brings him down on my list is his passive, because I sorta just suck with it. I feel like a Rylai's is necessary to fully take advantage of it, and I've never really been a fan of necessary items for certain champions. Of course, my own lack of skill with the champion is a big factor as to why I don't find this aspect of his kit enjoyable, and I recognize that. But this is my list, and I'll get good when I want to, alright? Aurelion Sol has a fun gimmick as a champion, which is what draws me to him, and it doesn't really get old for me, even if I miss it 9 times out of 10.
Good a time as any to act reckless.
Echo is sorta like a hybrid of an assassin and a mage. He can single out targets for some nice burst, but he also has AoE in the form of his ultimate and stun. It's a strange combination to me, but I can't deny that I enjoy the hell out of his ultimate. It is a simple burst of AP damage, but what makes it fun is the condition of landing it. It only works in the space where Echo was in the last 4 seconds of the game, thus making it require some more careful planning to execute well. And when you do, it feels so satisfying, because you just showed the enemy team that you were in control the whole time. Echo is enjoyable to play for me because he's an assassin that uses his positioning to fully take advantage of his damage and utility. But even after a year, his hybrid kit still feels off to me, and I still can't really describe why. I guess I'm just used to champions with entire kits dedicated to their role rather than Echo's hybrid style of play. Now that I think about it, it's probably because I keep trying to use Echo's ultimate as a damaging spell rather than a failsafe for when things get rough. Which I'm sure is also why a lot of people mistakenly use their ult when the enemy is really low, since they're so used to ultimates being finishing moves for assassins. If it's their first time playing Echo, then I don't really blame them for it. It's literally what we've been conditioned to with most of the assassins in this game. Echo's ult packs a shit ton of damage, but I don't believe it's meant to be used as a finisher at all, which conflicts with the rest of his kit in my opinion. Most of Echo's abilities, specifically his passive E and arguably his Q, are meant to burst someone down, and they can be fun to use too. You just blink onto someone, smack him up for a bit, and run out fast as fuck, boy. So his ultimate still feels like a disconnect to me, but when you observe it on its own, it's fun as hell to pull off. However, I do believe there are other champions that make bursting enemies far more satisfying. I still prefer to play Echo when I want to be an assassin that doesn't leave our entire team vulnerable to the fully armored, thornmail abusing, speeding bullet that is Rammus. I've also found Echo to be rather effective against skill shot heavy champions like Xerath or Lux. So even though Echo is still a strange champion to me, I still find myself picking him whenever I want to be an AP assassin, or whenever I want to bait people into walking into my ultimate. Boom! Sell your hands, cause y'all suck!
With overwhelming force.
Okay, I can do this. Darius is one of the few champions I absolutely despise. He is a champion that does damage over time with each auto attack, which makes him absolutely frustrating to fight in a 1v1 scenario. Combining his passive with his ultimate lets him spread this cancerous ability to everyone with just one basic attack, truly living up to the plague that he is on this game. And his ridiculous healing ability makes him an absolute chore to take down in teamfights. Although I despise this champion with every fiber of my being, I cannot deny there is something to be enjoyed out of him. The same reason why some people feel attracted to Fizz. Sometimes you just want to spread the pain and misery while experiencing a somewhat enjoyable power high. Darius really appeals to the sadistic side of me that enjoys seeing literal stacks of pain building up to a violent and gory execute that can be used over and over again when timed correctly, thus increasing my adrenaline to dangerous levels. But no amount of sadistic pleasure will replace the immense hatred I have for this champion, nor will it stop me from banning him with every chance that I get. Moving on!